Welcome to the Prosperity and Beyond podcast. I'm Michelle Stamper, your mindset and manifestation coach, here to help you create your dream life from the inside out. In this space, we deep dive into self-image, mindset shifts, manifestation, meditation, and universal laws, so you can align with your highest timeline and fully step into your authentic power. This is your sacred space to trust your intuition, raise your vibration, and unlock the prosperity and freedom from within. Say it with me. I am prosperity and beyond. Today, I'm so excited to welcome LouAnne Hunt to the show. She is a certified Jack Canfield trainer, a 3-time best-selling author, a speaker, and the host of the Mindset Playground, a fast-growing podcast known for its fun, positive, and deeply inspiring conversations. She is also contributing a chapter in the book, The Impact Effect, launching October 15th, the same day as her brand new course, the Mindset Playground Adventure, the Clarity Keys Method. One of the things that sets LouAnne apart is the foundation of safety she creates in her coaching. She provides a space where people feel free to open up, share their goals and dreams, release fears and limiting beliefs, and fully step into their core, genius, and unique gifts. Please help me welcome LouAnne Hunt. Hello, and welcome back to the Prosperity and Beyond podcast. Today, I have LouAnne Hunt with me. Welcome, LouAnne. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? I'm so honored to be here, Michelle, because I know that it was exciting when you came and did my podcast. So it's very nice of you to take time out of your schedule.
We've been able to connect through Proctor's Principles and Brian Proctor, and we had a lot in common. I know I used to teach college. I used to be a speech therapist, and then we both moved into the coaching. So we have that in common. As we move forward, I want you to share your story. So how did you get into personal development, or tell me a little background about you?
Well, it's interesting because I was always into personal development, but I didn't realize it. I didn't know I was doing personal development. And it kind of all started when I used to be a Tupperware lady, if you can believe it or not. And I sold Tupperware when I was like 16 years old. But I had no idea that network marketing was also part of, the personal development. And then it wasn't until probably around 2007, and I had been teaching yoga classes and meditation classes and things like that, but I didn't realize, I know it sounds funny, but I honestly didn't realize that that's what personal development was all about. So I kind of always was on that kind of side of things. And I had a really tough job. I worked for the government, and I worked for the government actually for 36 years. And I just found that I had a really hard time with this job, and I needed something that was an outlet so that it wouldn't make me crazy, because I kind of was going crazy in this job and I knew it wasn't me. So I wasn't going to let it define me. And so that's why I did other things outside of the job, such as working out and yoga and things like that, meditation, guided meditations, to keep my brain away from worrying about what was going on at the job. So that's got to be the truth right there. But then in 2007, my husband passed away, unfortunately, with ALS, after his fight with ALS. And I was teaching at the college at the time, and I was still working at the government job. So it was kind of all of this pressure that was going on. And I ended up getting a CD from, or actually a DVD, I should say, from one of my students at the college. And it had been, I think it was the second anniversary of my husband's passing. And I just was really going through a really rough time. And so she handed it to me and she said, "I think you should watch this." And it was The Secret. And I had heard about The Secret because it was big, but my husband was so ill that I certainly didn't have time to check into The Secret. But 2 years later, I ended up watching The Secret, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And that's when I was kind of introduced to so many of the impactful people like Bob Proctor and John Azaraf and Jack Canfield and all those people that were in The Secret. And I remember taking copious notes and writing down the names of all of these people that were in The Secret so that I could go and look them up, because I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And that's when I originally got into it.
Well, I know that you are connected with Jack Canfield, and as I said in your intro, you're a Canfield coach, and you're certified through that. So tell me about your connection with Jack Canfield. Where did that get started?
Okay, so I saw him in The Secret and I thought, wow, that's really cool. This is the guy who like created Chicken Soup for the Soul. This is amazing. And I was teaching at the college and I was finished my government job, thank goodness. And I decided, well, I heard that Jack Canfield was coming to Chicago, and I don't live far from Chicago. I live about 6 hours from Chicago if we drive. It was my birthday. My birthday was coming up, and it was 2019. And I said to my husband, I said, oh, I really want to go see Jack Canfield and for my birthday. So we checked online, and it was a 1 day workshop, and it was called One Day to Greatness. So we had gone to this workshop and we ended up getting VIP tickets. So we sat fairly close to the front of the room and we were able to go to the luncheon that they were hosting that day as well. And so that was really exciting. Plus, we got to meet Jack at the end of it. So while Jack was delivering his message, honestly, Michelle, I was blown away. It was like coming from the stage and it was like he was talking to me directly and it was so doable. You know what I mean? Like I could really understand it. It was doable. So at the time while I was teaching at the college, I needed to get some new material. You know what I mean? Like I was teaching business at the college, business and marketing, and I just needed something more than textbook material. Well, when I went to see Jack, I was like, wow, why doesn't everybody know this stuff? And he explained that he had a program that he was selling. And if we were interested, it was a certification and it was called Train the Trainer. And it was a certification based on the success principles. Well, that's what he talked a lot about in this One Day to Greatness seminar. So I couldn't even wait for the break. I went running to the back and I wanted to find out how I could become certified by, Jack Canfield, the success principles. Well, that just opened the floodgates right there. So I got my little jack in the box. That's what I like to call it, my jack in the box. Because it was, this box that had like our training manuals and DVDs and downloads and all kinds of information. And I brought it home and I could not wait to dive into it. And I took it to the classroom.
That is really cool. I did not know that because I know you were a professor and I know that you were a Jack Canfield coach, but I didn't know that you bridged both together. That's really interesting. And I feel like it's definitely needed.
Oh, it really is. And I was so surprised because I told them, I said, I went to this Jack Canfield event and I said, do you guys know who Jack Canfield is? And of course, nobody knew. And, and as soon as I said, the creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, well, then everybody kind of clued in. But I just said, if it's okay, and these are first year or first semester students for business. So they're just coming right out of high school. So I said, well, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to do some stuff because I have to kind of practice this so that I could get my certification. And they were like, yeah, sure. So, just here and there, I would do some lessons. And oh, we just had so much fun. And they were right into it. They were right into it. And it wasn't part of the curriculum. But you know what? A lot of them, the feedback that I got was amazing. And so now I'm kind of an advocate for I kind of wish that more colleges and maybe even the last year of high school, to prepare kids for life, really for life lessons. It would be really great if they incorporated a lot more of these programs.
Do you feel like this was a pivotal moment for you where you were aligning with what you really love to do in your career? Where you were starting to realize this is what I want to teach, this is what I want to do? When did you have that moment where you decided that I want to do this full time or I this is what I want my life's work to be?
Well, it definitely was that and that pivotal moment in 2019 when I went to that like I said, that seminar, the 1 Day to Greatness. And when I tried it on the students, when I tried to teach the way that Jack taught us, and I saw their reactions, because, it's interesting. When I first started teaching, I found that, like, things have just changed so much because I started teaching many years ago, like long before, kind of to part-time students. But they were adults, they were older students, and I just kind of did like textbook stuff. I didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I tried to incorporate some fun stuff, but this was just amazing, and that's when I knew the way that they were reacting to it, and the fact that there was, like, no pressure. It was just kind of a sidebar coaching, and we had a lot of fun with it. I said, "This should be in the outlines." It really should be. At least one of the subjects, like goal setting, or, any of those things that came up. And, that's when I knew that that's what I really wanted to do.
So I know that you're launching a few things coming up inspired by the 12 principles. What is one of the principles that you feel like has made the most impact in your life?
Well, I have to say that the very first principle is what is the main pillar that Jack Canfield bases all of his programs on, and that's take 100% responsibility for yourself. Give up the blaming, give up the excuses. So it's kind of a bridge. Like, we see it a lot with Brian as well. Don't wait for the big thing to happen. You got to get out there and believe in yourself. And that's what take 100% responsibility is about. And I think that that's probably, and I like to teach that one right after their first test.
I love that.
Because, yes, because they have their first test, and then we talk about taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life. So I'll come up with things like, so maybe you're not happy with the mark on your test. What could you have done? Because it's not my fault. And, it's not your friend's fault that you didn't get the mark that you were looking for. So what could you have done differently? And when I start talking about that, and the formula that Jack always gives us is E plus R equals O. And what that stands for is the E is events, which are the events in your life that happen. Not That is not what's important. What's important is how you respond to those events will equal your outcome. So E plus R equals O. And if you're not happy with your outcomes, then you must change your responses.
I love that because it really comes back to the law of attraction that I am the creator of my reality. So if I go back inward and I see myself as the creator, taking full accountability and responsibility of my life, whether it's good or not, that's the hard part when life is not going the way you want it to like really take in that message. But when life is going great, it's easy to take in that message. But then it brings us back to the I am the creator of my reality. So that's really cool how it bridges basically law of attraction and that first principle together. And let's talk a little bit about your podcast because I was on your podcast and it's called the Mindset Playground. And what inspired you to get started with starting a podcast?
Well, it's one of those things, I know. It's one of those things that just kind of happened. So it will be on September the 12th, which is coming up. I'm not sure when this will be airing, but September the 12th will be my third anniversary of the Mindset Playground.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Very consistent. That's one of your qualities that we were talking about earlier. And that's a huge thing in personal development and creating your dream life.
Yes, you have to be consistent. They told me that right from the very beginning. So, how that happened was, and this is the craziness of it all, and wait till I tell you the end of this. So, the beginning is this: I wrote a chapter in a book called The Book on Transformation. And I wrote it with 30 other women because it was obviously a project that, all of us were writing in, and a collaborative book. And the book was actually a good friend of Jack Canfield, who's also certified, Jan Frazier. And she's a really good friend of Jack's. And Jack wrote the foreword for the book. So I wrote a story in the book and we hit number 1. We were an Amazon number 1 bestseller. And I got this email from this lady who said, we want to do an interview with you. And it was CUTV. It's close up TV. And I said, yeah, that would be great. So I looked them up and everything online and I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And Doug Llewellyn is the host. He's the one who asked you the questions. I don't know if you know Doug Llewellyn, but anyway, he was on the People's Court with Judge Judy, and he was the blonde haired guy who would work outside the courtroom. I was a huge fan. And he would work outside the courtroom, and as people were coming out, he'd say, so what do you think of what Judge Judy said? Anyway, he has the same voice. It's great. So I was so excited. So I got the phone call and I talked with Doug Llewellyn and we did our little interview and he was talking all about the book and he was talking about what I wrote in there. And it was just great. I had so much fun. So at the end of that interview, I got an email out of the blue and it was Bold Brave TV. And they said, would you ever be interested in doing your own or hosting your own TV show? Okay, here comes the law of attraction. So, Jack Canfield, when I was taking one of his online courses during COVID, it was called Your Extraordinary Life. And in the Extraordinary Life, Jack made us write out 101 goals. And I was like, really? 101 goals? Like, how are we supposed to write out 101 goals? He's like, just do it. Trust me. Trust the process. Do it. So sure enough, I sat and I wrote out my goals and you get stuck right around, I'll have to say like right around 55, it's like, okay, like the first 50 are really easy, but wow, I was starting to stretch. And Jack said, just write anything. Don't don't think about it. Just write anything that you would love. Don't worry about it. Don't analyze it. Don't don't criticize it. Don't even think about it. Just write it down. Well, believe it or not, and this was before I got all these phone calls, number 78 was to host my own TV show with Jack's success principles.
I'm getting
Isn't that
chills.
crazy?
Because what he was teaching was for you to open your consciousness to the infinite, and maybe before you were only going to 10, and this was stretching, "What do I really want?" And then putting yourself into the allowing mode because that's all you could do, and then one want turns into another want because you're opening up that gate of higher consciousness. So that's a beautiful manifestation. Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, maybe I should look into this. So I had all the training. I was trained by probably one of the best producers out there. And he taught me everything about, how to speak, how to interview people, how to ask people to come on. And so, yes, on September 12th, 2022, I started my first podcast show. And I actually interviewed, because it was September the 12th, I actually interviewed Bonnie Harris. And she is the SPCA manager for Gander, Newfoundland. And she was the one who saved the animals when all the planes had to land in Gander because there were animals in the bottom of the planes because nobody expected that they had to land. And she asked them, she contacted them and she said, are there animals in the bottom of these planes? And somebody said, no, there's no animals. There shouldn't be any animals. But it bothered her so much that she went to the airport. She went up into the luggage section of each plane and they rescued 12 animals.
Wow. Is
So
12 a significant number in your life? Because of
it
the 12
must be.
principles, 12 I feel
Oh,
like there's, like, a synchronicity going on here. I feel like I had to ask.
that's interesting. First time
Mhm.
that you pointed that out. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really,
Yeah.
really
So it's a
cool.
great story.
And I love the name of your podcast, The Mindset Playground, because it builds on the fact of, mindset, but making it fun and creative, this creative energy. And I love your power of collaboration, the way you collaborate with so many different individuals and bring people together to raise the consciousness and to teach. And I feel like these are your gifts. And that's why I feel so honored to interview you. And your story is so powerful. You've been able to manifest and attract so many different things in your life with ease, by the way. And I think the more you focus on this story, you're going to see how it unravels into the story that's becoming right now. And you've been able to interview so many amazing, influential people with ease. Who are some people that you have interviewed?
Well, I haven't been able to interview all of those people with ease but it could be the fact that I'm afraid to ask some people. And I feel that I don't have enough views or enough, I don't know. So, real quick on that story, I was up on YouTube, and in February, when the floor fell out from underneath me, YouTube had taken down my show. And to this day, I don't know why. So, because they won't contact me back, just saying.
Mhm. Because the
So,
true power is with you, and I feel like now that you're starting this new app that I just downloaded, which she's gonna talk more about in a little bit, it's having you focus on how you're gonna do it your way. It doesn't have to look a certain way or how other people have done it or the way you thought it was going to. And it could be driving you to new ideas to that maybe wouldn't have happened if you were to lean on YouTube.
well, it's all about pivoting. It happened. I had to pivot. I lost my job at the college and I had to pivot and do something else. So I still wanted to teach. I am a teacher at heart. I grew up being a teacher and as far as, being a little kid, and that's in my blood. So that's the main reason behind this program is because I'm still teaching
Mhm.
and I'm able to do this. So same thing with the Mindset Playground. I'm teaching,
Exactly, and you're
right?
teaching it your way. I did a channel message the other day, and the song that came through was "My Way" by Frank Sinatra, and I feel like the most influential personal development leaders are teaching it from here, influenced by others, right? And making it their own and teaching it in their own way, really teaching from the heart, and this is what you're doing with your new program. Can you talk a little bit about what you're launching?
Sure. So the name of my podcast is The Mindset Playground. And can I tell you a little bit why I decided to go with that name?
Yeah, I would love to
Okay.
know.
Because that is in the story that I'm writing now for Kate Butler Books, which is going to be um, published and launched on October 15th. So I'll show you real quick. I don't know if your audience is going to be able to see this, but this is my logo, and I'm sure that you've seen my logo. So if you look at my logo, it's actually a merry-go-round to represent the merry-go-round in a playground. So what happened is in my story that I wrote for Kate Butler's book, which is called, The Impact Effect. Again, these things just come out of the blue, right? She called me last week and she's like, I really want you to write in this book, this project. It's called The Impact Effect. And it's about the ripple effect that happens in our life. Well, I'm living it every day, it seems. So she said, but the only thing is that like I need the story like by next week. So I was like, ooh, no pressure. So, but she's amazing. And here's another thing that I manifested. I actually have a picture of myself working with Kate Butler because I've wanted to work on one of her books for a long time. So that is one of my manifesting dreams. I'm going to say one of my goals, and it's in my goals as well that I'm going to work with Kate Butler. And I don't know why, but there's just something about Kate Butler. I admire her. She's amazing. And she's on the same level as I am. She's certified by Jack Canfield, but she's a publisher and she's incredible.
I feel like she's gonna be on your podcast.
Well, she already was once, but yes, I am going to have her back, of course. And she's the one who published the Jack Canfield book that I was telling you about, this his son's book. So by the time I'm 9. So anyway, the children's book. So back to this. So what happened was when I wrote the story, I was telling her how I wanted to write about creating the app and, how this all started. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, that would be great." So I kind of started right at the beginning because I was born in 1962. No, doing the math. So that was one thing I always said in school too is, I was born in 1962, but no doing the math. But how my life has like evolved. So in the beginning of the story, I talk about what life was like in 1962. So it was a lot, a lot less than it is now, right? It was a lot less crazy. And so I talk about that and I say that, like during the summer when we would be released from school, I talk about school and what it was like. And then I said, but there's summer break. And when there's summer break, then of course, all we did was go to the playground. And I said that the playground was more than a patch of sand and metal. It was actually my kingdom. And my favorite throne was the merry-go-round, which is really true. And so I'd run with all that energy and I could muster up and then leap on to the merry-go-round. And I would just ride it. And this is a true story. I would ride it for hours and hours and hours and just watch the sun or the clouds go by. Right. And I just felt so free on the merry-go-round. Oh, and then it just goes on from there and how the merry-go-round actually taught me about life because like who knew that running on in circles and jumping onto a spinning piece of metal would like prepare you for so much that's going on in your life. So, and that's what I say in the book. But anyway, getting back to the mindset playground, I wanted to do something about mindset, of course. And all I could think of was it has to be something that's fun, not something that's too deep. It has to be fun and something that everybody will want to listen to because it's fun. And it has to be inspirational. So I thought back to that merry-go-round and I was like, well, I want to do something with mindset. So then I thought, I'm going to do the mindset playground. And a lot of people, when I told them that I was going to call it the Mindset Playground, they said, "Oh, yeah, you should have a logo of a slide." And I'm like, slide isn't really it's not really doing it for me. I'm thinking something like a merry-go-round. So I asked this lady friend who does logos all the time, and I just explained to her what the Mindset Playground was about. And she said, "I think I have it." And it was like first time that she had done a logo. It was kind of like the Nike logo, the swoosh. And she showed it to me and I was like, that's it. That's it. So that's how I ended up calling it the Mindset Playground. It's perfect.
Wow, that's a beautiful unfolding and story, and it's heart centered. And what came to me intuitively was, when you're going on a merry-go-round, you run, run, run. So that's like putting the work in, the effort, and then you jump on and then you just receive. And then, so there's moments of putting in the work, and there's moments of just receiving and being in the moment and experiencing and feeling the breeze and time of rest. And having fun. That's the point of it all. Like, what is life without having fun and feeling joy? That's the highest frequency, right? When Bob talks about frequency. So you are teaching people to tune in to joy and radiating that frequency by showing up. What you do is so important. So important.
So from there, I also talk in that story about when I was a child. That wasn't my only learning ground. I wanted to be a teacher. So my students were my dolls, my stuffed bears, and my little brother when he would sit still. And here I was down in the basement because I had gotten this blackboard for Christmas. And of course I did. And I was teaching math, if you can believe it. My little brother is 8 years younger than me, and he was maybe 3 or 4. I was teaching him how to add and subtract. And the poor kid. But I was going to be a teacher. So that's where this all comes kind of full circle because while I was working, I ended up going back to school, starting my own business. And that's just, again, that whole mentality to keep me sane from what was going on in my working world. So I just became a teacher of everything. I was a yoga instructor, I was a meditation teacher, I was, all these things that we're teaching. So it just kind of naturally fell into place when I met Jack and then I started teaching Jack's work. But that was the work that I loved the most. So, I mean, I love teaching how to start a business, but Jack's work is what I love the most. And so then I've decided that since I'm no longer teaching at the college, that I still want to create my own course. And I remember while I was teaching at the college, telling everybody that I wanted to create my own course. It's just I never really got around to it or had time. So now is the perfect time and everything just falls into place. So I had talked to my web creator and said, "Do I put this course so that it's built into my website?" And they said, "Well, you can if you want to, but it can be fairly pricey." And I was talking to other friends and just saying, "Well, what do you think?" Well, then we had that meeting with Brian's team, right? Trace, and he mentioned the app. And so I was like, that would be perfect. Because I had downloaded Brian's app and it's perfect. It's exactly what I need to do.
And you can take it anywhere with you. The app is, like, geared towards the phone, and so that's really nice too. Well, if you're traveling, if you're at home, if you're in the office, or you're a coffee shop, you always have your phone.
Always. So you can do a quick lesson or you can do a quick read or you can because there's going to be reading there as well. And of course you can watch the Mindset Playground advertisement free, which is nice, right? And yeah, and that's always available. So it's interesting because I'm testing it. And when I'm in the car, I'm playing all the Mindset Playground shows so that I can test it and make sure that they're running properly through the app, which is great.
So the course or the program is called the Mindset Playground Adventure, the Clarity Keys Method. What is the Clarity Keys Method?
The Clarity Keys method is based on Jack Canfield's work, The Success Principles, but it's my work. So it's based on his, but it's my work. And what it is 12 C's. So it's the C's and it will go for 12 weeks, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the course broken into 6 weeks and 6 weeks. So that, say, for example, if you log into the course and you're not really sure you want to spend 12 weeks on the course, you can just take the first 6. And then if you're feeling comfortable and you really want to continue on, because the first 6 are going to be the foundation of the course. So if you want to continue on so that we can do more work together and you can do the momentum stage, then you'll sign up for weeks 7 to 12. But they're the 12 C's altogether. And the first one is claim it, which is take 100% responsibility, of course, right? And then clarify it, find out what truly matters to you, choose it, decide what you really want, create it. So you set clear goals and confirm it. And this is where you go into belief, affirmations, and visualization. And then capture it, which is number 6, will be a vision board party.
Oh, I love that, and I heard you're so good at those.
Yes, I love that. So that's the first 6 weeks. So
Okay.
why would they not want to be involved in the other 6 weeks, right?
Exactly. Well, can you tell me, is this a course that's strictly online where they do it on their own pace, or is it they're gonna be live calls as well? If they want it to work with you, how would that work, or can you go into that?
Absolutely. So if you download the app and you decide you just want the app and you just want to listen to the Mindset Playground and maybe some meditation, things like that, that will be just one price for the app for the whole year. And you'll have access to all of that. And then, so it's going to be broken into pieces. So then if you want to take the first part of the course and you just want to take it on your own, then that will be one price. But included in that price will be the bite-size videos that you can sit and watch, and then you can answer some questions. But I'll also have a workbook if you want to get deeper into it. So we will have access to a workbook. And also, if you want to take the second half of the course, so you want to sign up for all 12 weeks, you'll, of course, save quite a bit of money doing that rather than taking the course two separate pieces. But yes, there will be a weekly call, which is a group call, community call, and there will be a community, which is already in the app. Part of the community is there. So there will be community calls as well, and they will all be posted up the uh, on the app.
I love that you're building a community because when you're teaching this type of information and you're attracting like minded individuals, you gain so much more when you're in a community that support, that frequency, that heart centeredness. So that's amazing that you're doing that. And I didn't know that until now. So, what are the last six key principles or keys in your program?
So the next one will be craft it, which is building habits, which is really important. One of Jack's principles is to create a 60-minute. I don't know if you know about this, the 60-minute program, which is a morning routine. So it's 20 minutes of exercise of some sort or movement, 20 minutes of reading something, and then 20 minutes of so you would read something positive and then 20 minutes of meditation or something to that effect. So it's and three of 20 minutes. And that equals 60 minutes. So it's basically called your morning 60 minutes or your 60-minute morning routine. So we break that down and I show you how to actually keep track of that, the habit trackers and create a habit of doing things like that. And then, of course, there's clean up your messes because so much of our energy and everything that we do is kind of blocked because we have so much stuff that we need to get cleaned up.
I love that.
Work, yeah. You can just work so much better when you have a clean space.
I think Bob Proctor talks about the vacuum law of prosperity. So it's interesting because you start to see how everything starts to tie, but it's in their own way.
Right?
That's what makes it beautiful.
And of course, the next one is cast it. So that's speaking it and sharing it out there, like putting it out there, your vision and your confidence. And then, of course, continue it will be building your resilience. So when life gets lifey, making
I
sure.
love
And as you know, I'm definitely the type of person who's very consistent. So I'm going to teach you how to be consistent and how it turns out when you are, how life turns out when you are. And I'm a perfect example of that. And then there's going to be or cement it, which is it integrates the wins and anchors your new identity. So that's when we celebrate you. We celebrate your wins. You're going to go back and you're going to basically build a joy list. What brings you joy? What are the things that you've accomplished? Because people don't realize how much they actually do until they write down what they've accomplished. And then they look at it and they say, oh, wow, I never even thought of that. And that's so, so important before you set goals is you want to definitely list all of your accomplishments.
Yeah, because that puts you at higher frequency because you're focusing on the good, attracting more good, and then you can create more good because 'cause you're in that momentum. So that's really, really, really powerful. This sounds like it's gonna be amazing. Also, what came through intuitively, because 'cause I'm intuitive, and a lot of my listeners know that, that day when you were listening to Jack Canfield in 2019, you felt a certain type of way. Your life changed, your perspective changed. This is what you're gonna do for other people. So get into that feeling and know when they experience this course, this program, that's what you're gonna do for other people.
And our live calls are going to be fun because Celebrate It is going to be fueling the future. So we're going to come as you'll be. We're going to have a come as you'll be party. We're going to have fun along the way. We're doing the vision board party. We're going to have some laughs. I'm going to play some games. So, do you remember the game when you were, I don't know, but maybe for a baby shower or something, you would say, brings something back to the camera, the first person who brings something back to the camera that it has the word love in it or something. And so you run through the house and you have to try and find something and bring it back. So we're going to be doing little things like that. We're going to be playing some games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
This sounds amazing. I know that you mentioned you're going to be adding meditations, you're going to be adding all your podcast episodes to the app as well, plus your program that's going to be 12 weeks. Yeah, this is amazing that you're launching this. And you're launching this what day?
October 15th,
October
the same
15th.
day as the book.
Mm.
Of course, it'll be just the beginning. Like, it'll be the first 6 weeks that I'll be launching, and then I'll be releasing the following 6 weeks. So, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it's gonna take a while to put it all together, but I'm working on it.
So this will be what book number that you've been a part of?
Written in
Mhm.
number 4,
Number
collaborative.
4. And where can
Actually,
people find your books? Will they be able to find it on the app, or where can they find the books you've written?
that I've worked on before,
Yeah.
everything is up on Amazon, so I'll be having, like, the names of the books and, like, all of this stuff if anybody's interested in any of that.
Yeah, because 'cause you're a three-time best-selling author, which is a huge accomplishment, yeah, and then more to come.
Well, I'm so excited that I'm working with Kate because I already know it's gonna be a fourth bestseller, and the really cool thing about that is that she has a billboard. She has a billboard set aside for us, and we're going to New York to do a live event in January, and our book and our picture will be up on a billboard in Times Square. So I'm really excited.
This really is the beginning because there's so much that you're gonna be doing. I can feel it. Working with Kate, more books to come, the impact, right? That book that you're in, the title of it, it's not a coincidence. The impact that you are making already and are gonna continue to make, it's inevitable.
Yes, because the next step is a TED Talk out of my story, and I also wanna do some keynote speaking. So that's next.
It's already done. What is the biggest takeaway that you've had through this journey called life that you would wanna share with the audience? Something you would wanna share that's changed your life?
I'm gonna have to say taking a chance on myself and just doing it and being consistent because it's consistency that wins.
I love that so much. Thank you for being here today and taking the time to share your story. And congratulations on the 2 new launches on October 15th. And I'll make sure to post your website and all your information below. And thank you for your time.
Oh, Michelle, thank you for your support. You've been so supportive, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. We have so much in common. What I want to mention before, when I was little, when I was 5, that's what I wanted to be too. It was a teacher. So teaching is one of my things that I'm most passionate about as well. And that's where I connect a lot with you is, but it's not just teaching, it's coming together. It's that community and uplifting each other. So thank you for this connection and your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.